Hello, chat. How's it going? I personally have been playing some old games recently. Neverwinter Nights is one of them. And what I want to say is that they're so different. The video games, I mean. From early 2000s and 2010. They're so different one from another. Like each game is so original. They're part of the same genre, sure. But they are so unique. Like Neverwinter Nights, it's an RPG, and there's many RPGs like it, but it's got its own unique things. Like the mechanics are specific to Neverwinter Nights, even though it's based on the Dungeons and Dragons. It's got like the UI and the mechanics and everything is like specific to that game. And yesterday I found out that they're making a Wolverine game which allows Wolverine to craft smoke bombs and he can level up. He uses medkits. Yes, like Wolverine uses medkits, and the gameplay is pretty similar to Arkham Asylum. And this shows like there is no more uniqueness now. Like all the games are literally the same. It's kind of like the same game that gets a reskin. It's the Assassin's Creed or the Batman Arkham Asylum, and it just gets a reskin every now and then. See, and I remember like reading an article about this because you wonder, it's like, how do these game companies that are supposed to be competing with each other, how are they really pushing the same product? Because it kind of is, the same female characters, archetypes, the same tropes, the same. And there was like a video game journalist wrote it in Gama Sutra that the developer shouldn't think about genres anymore. Like, you shouldn't think like, oh, you're making an RPG, oh, you're making a third-person shooter. No, like, you're making the game. And the game has elements of all of it, which means that it's robbed of its spirit. It's got no more originality. And the game is like an open world game where you travel from, I guess, like tower to tower. And once you climb the tower, you get to reveal an area of the map. And then you have like side quests and collectibles, and you got your main quests and stuff. And then you have like crafting. Crafting is important, then leveling up. And all the games are literally like that. I mean, I'm a little bit upset because I want to play something. And I have to say, like, the Japanese hentai fucking market is more creative than AAA shit that comes from the West. They're making me play hentai games, chat. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to, but, like, there are hentai games with more soul, more story, more character development than fucking Western games. Written by Sweet Baby and outsourced by some other companies. Jesus. You mean like Sargon's understanding of economics for D&D? That was kind of hilarious, not gonna lie. Like you have all these people which are selling merchandise for like 5,000 gold, but they're willing to haggle for like 30 gold. Usually, like, if you're a store that sells stuff for like 5,000 gold, then you either don't care, like, why would you even buy something that's like 30 gold? It's like, Jesus. Or if you do buy it, you're not going to haggle for like a couple of peanuts, basically. Wolverine needs medkits, yes. Insanity Games. Oh my god, that is actually a really good title for Insomnia. Apparently, like, they want to... So like, the Spider-Man game, they want to sell it into 3 parts, and in total, it would cost like $150 if you buy all of it. And I'm like, oh, who wants to buy that? Like, there are gacha games on phone apps that are more interesting than the new Spider-Man game. It's just so bizarre. David J has been whining on Twitter about Soy Kratos. Yeah, so, like, David J is actually right. Now, the thing with David J, from my understanding, is he is a social justice activismus. Like he defended many of the shit... I guess like studios that are doing this, but he actually does care about Kratos, right? So it's his creation. And if you look at Kratos from the first 3 games, if you guys played the original God of War, he's an absolute monster. And I'm not talking this in a cool sense, like he's a monster as in in the combat. No, like there is nothing redeemable about Kratos. Like he is a villain. He is a disgusting character. He murders women. Like the worst thing that he does, I believe, is in the 3rd game, when you have a puzzle and you need to hold like a wheel open to hold the door open, and he chains this woman, which he finds in Poseidon's bedroom, right? This was absolutely a woman that was kidnapped by Poseidon and turned into a sex slave, and he chains her to the wheel, and you can hear like the wheel crashing her bones. Like he doesn't care, he doesn't give a fuck. Like he is willing to just murder people for no fucking reason. Like he kills innocents, right? And you play with this character. And that's what God of War was interesting, is because you get to play as the villain. And apparently, it is a good thing when you do that. Like Manhunt is another game where you play as the villain. Warcraft 3, where you get to play with Arthas as the villain. Like, there's not many games that allow you to play as the bad guy. But the ones that do are very interesting because you get to feel certain emotions that you don't get to feel when playing as the hero. Like, instead of, like, rooting for your character, you're disgusted by its actions, and it creates, like, this dissonance, which is really cool. But then, you know, you have, like, this mantra, which, I guess, like, some game journalists used and activists. It's like, well, no, like, gaming has to grow up. You know, like, these characters have to mature. And they said this when it comes to Star Wars. They said this when it comes to Indiana Jones. And this comes from people who can't differentiate fiction from reality. Like they literally are treating these characters as if they're real human beings and they do have to grow up. The problem with this is that they justify it by saying, well, you know, like when we made Kratos or when we made Indiana Jones, we were teenagers, like we had a different vision, it was for that time. But now all of us have grown up as creators, we have families, you know, we have children, we settle down, so we want to tell a different story. Like we want to project our personal lives into the character. And the character has to grow up. And the problem with this is that, what about the new generation, right? Like, you're taking something that's for teenagers, and you want to make it into something that's more for adults. Which is fine if you were to create a new IP. Like, if you create something new so adults can enjoy it, that's fine. But when you take something that's for kids, right? Like something edgy like Kratos, and you're making him into, like, the soy dad. People who like Kratos, or the new generation that would love to play these games, you're taking something away from them. Like, you keep removing stuff for the generation that keeps coming, you know? When they say gaming has to grow up, it's like, sure, like, as a gamer, right? Like, when you're a teenager, you like different types of games. Like, when you're a kid, you like Mario. And then you grow up and Mario becomes boring and you start playing something else. But Mario doesn't fucking have to grow up. Like, Mario should still be Mario so that the new generation can enjoy it the same way that we did. You know, you don't get Mario to grow up. You don't get, like, to have the Mushroom Kingdom reimagined and turned into an actual kingdom with actual politics and, you know, like an actual economy and shit. No, fuck that. No, Mario has to be the same way that it has been up until now. Mario has to be like this really, you know, fascinating story, bizarre story about, like, some plumber that's in a fictional kingdom and is rescuing the princess. He doesn't have to do anything more. It's more like, instead of saying, like, gaming has to grow up, it's more like they don't want to let go of their toys. You know? Like, dude, if you don't like Mario anymore, just let it go. Just let it the fuck go. Like, you don't have to change Mario. You don't have to make it grow up. Make a new IP. Create something new. You know, like, make Prince of Persia. Like, Prince of Persia is, like, it was also a platformer. And it was for mature people, right? Like, you're a kid, you play Mario, you grow the fuck up, you play Prince of Persia. It's a new IP. Like, that's how things should be done. So, yeah, the creator of Kratos was upset that they made Kratos into a soy dad. Which, to be honest, you know, like, it makes lore sense. It's not, like, really contradicting to the essence of the lore. It's not like breaking the universe. Because it's done in a lore-friendly manner. Like, he does try to control his anger, and it's implied that there have been many years, and now he has a son, like, he's got a new family, right? But the author of God of War is actively pointing out, like, this is not my creation. Like, I didn't want to create this. Even if it does make sense, like, no, I wanted to make something else. This is like Indiana Jones, as if, like he stops being an archaeologist and becomes a police officer. Like you can't write that story. Like you can definitely say that, well, after years of being an archaeologist, he retired, and he was offered a job as a police officer, and he took it. But like the creators of like George Lucas would probably not like that. Would be like, no, this is not the movie that I wrote. This is not the stuff that I wanted to do. Rags is lefty. I don't think Rags is lefty. No, it's just passive aggressive. I looked at the comments. It seems that people agree with me. Like, here's the thing. I may be a little bit more animated on stream because it attracts super chats. It's funny. It's hilarious. I do understand that I have a voice that's a little bit more squeaky and more annoying. So usually when I become a little bit more animated, people are less likely to side with someone that screeches, right, than someone that's more calm. Like, I get that. But what I was trying to tell Rags, because like, I don't even have a problem with him in the game. He had the problem with Dev. That's when it all started. Like, he was upset that Short Fat Otaku wasn't helping him out. And I said, it's like, well, why would you expect him to help you out when earlier you decided to cockblock him? Like, Short Fat Otaku wanted to do something, and you didn't let him do it, right? So if you're going to be an antagonistic prick to the players, why, like, that's fine. I mean, within the game rules, you can be an antagonistic prick, you can be grifting to the players. But when the players are grifting back, then that's fair game. I mean, if you're going to say, well, my character would blah, 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 well, then his character would also blah, 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 right? So, it's pretty much like that. And I don't understand, like, why he started going off at me, calling me stupid, idiot, or whatever. I mean, I'm not the one that had beef with him. Short Fat Otaku is. Just because Short Fat Otaku is polite and doesn't express that he is a difficult person to play with. I mean, that's fine, like, shoot the messenger, whatever. But, this is not the first campaign where the players are turning against him. Like, there were 2 other campaigns that he played and the same shit happens. Like, he does this all the fucking time. He's being antagonistic to people, and then when people are... Which again, like, it's fine. If you want to be antagonistic to other players, I mean, I have no problem with that. Like, if you want to play for entertainment, if you want to play to make the campaign more hilarious, like, that's fine, But don't be shocked when the players are antagonistic to you in return. It's how it works. Thank you, Jacob Andrew, for the 5 Romanian memberships. I don't even know what that is. It's like, what does it mean when you give memberships to people? Do they just get, like, the green thing? Huh? Thank you, bipedal species. I actually missed you. I haven't seen you in the chat for a long time. It's not necessarily like, I wouldn't call it drama. It's just like, table talk conversation, because, like, outside of the game, we're still friends. It's just like, in the game, it's like when you play League of Legends and you start raging at your teammates. It's kind of like that. It's like, you don't actually get upset with that person in real life. But within the context of the game, yeah, it's a little bit, annoying, let's put it like this. When you have someone... I mean, it's not even annoying. Like, I was just bewildered that he doesn't understand what's going on. Just, like, if you're going to be a twat to Dev, like, why do you expect Dev not to be a twat to you in return? It's weird. Membership is just a way to give me money? That's good. More memberships, please. Yeah, I mean, the drama is what makes it fun, I guess. Dev, why I have to suffer the consequences of my action? Well, the thing is, like, there's this excuse. It's like, well, my character wouldn't. My character, blah, blah, blah. And like, I think this is a little bit of a cope, in a way. Because there's 2 ways of role-playing. Right? Like, let's say you roleplay a character with low intelligence. And you're like, well, my character would walk up to the king and punch him because my character is dumb. I'm playing a character with 2 intelligence. He doesn't know what to do. Right? So he sees that king sitting on the throne, doesn't like his face. I want to walk up and punch the king. My character, that's what my character would do, right? Another way to roleplay would be like, well, my character has like 2 intelligence. So he looks towards the bard in the party. She looks smart, like she would know what to do. right? Like you're still playing like the same character, but like in a way you're making it so that the other people in the party don't fucking hate you, you know? I suppose like in this situation, like if you're playing a lawful good paladin, um, and he wouldn't steal, like the way it would work is you would say, well, I'm lawful good, I wouldn't partake in theft, right? And my character wouldn't allow it, but you know, just do it out of earshot of my character. Like he doesn't need to hear it. Just do it somewhere, you know, like plan the heist. Because I'm a player, I'm not the character, right? So I, as the player, can say, look, you plan the heist in a way that my character doesn't hear about it, right? And maybe my character isn't even aware that you did it. Because they don't have to be omniscient. And if you get caught, you get caught, right? But like if not, that's good. It's on you. That's how I would deal with it. And you know, like when Arch, for example, wanted to attack all of the people in the church, even though he wasn't supposed to, and he was like, well, my character with my character. I was like, okay, you know, like if you want to do that, I'll just leave the church and let you do what you want to do. Like that's fine. I'm not going to stop you. And I think like allowing people to do what they want in the setting while suffering the consequences if what they want is stupid, like that's fair. You know, but like having a character goes like, right now you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. It's like, okay, but like if you do that, it's not fun for the others. And if you're going to ruin the fun for others, then don't be surprised when they're ruining the fun for you. I said the same in chat. Devs just needs Rags' character to not catch him. Yeah, but like Rags wouldn't allow that. Because that's the thing, you know, like I even said, well, I'm trying to talk with Dev in private, and immediately it was like, oh, can I roll a perception check? I want to hear what V is saying. Yeah, it's a killjoy. You know, again, like that's why I snapped, because it wasn't just that session. It's like many sessions that are put together. And I keep noticing the same thing, like he's being antagonistic towards Dev, like constantly. He's being antagonistic towards me as well, but I just don't care that much. I laugh it off. But he's being like very, how should I put it, like cock-blockish towards Dev. Like Dev wants to do something, he's like, nope. And it's like, okay, you know, like fine, I didn't say anything. But like when Dev didn't want to help him out, he was like, oh, why isn't he helping me out? And I was like, well, duh. Anyway. Yeah, no, it's basically the fact that I do have a squeaky voice. I'm a little bit more animated, and I don't always come across as eloquent. And due to that, I may lose the audience, right? And like a person that's being passive-aggressive, and it's like, well, they can. I suppose like they can be a little bit more persuasive than I can. Anyway, let's talk about Elmo, because a lot of people want to talk about Elmo. See, the thing is, like, if I talk about what is in the title in the early beginning, then you have people coming on later, and they're asking, like, when are you going to talk about Elmo? And I'm like, motherfucker, I already fucking did. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, right, so you know it's good when you have, like, people in the comment section saying, please tell me this is not real. And you have Elmo and CNN. Like this is what goes together hand in hand, isn't it? Like Sesame Street and CNN. Like, a match made in heaven. Coming together. You know, like, are these like handprints? It reminds me of when you play horror games. Like, what was it? Dead Space. And you see like bloody handprints on the window. Is it like that? Standing up to racismus. A town hall for kids and family. Apparently taxpayer money pay for this. This is great.
Across the country?
Across the country, everywhere. Look what the Democrats are doing. Why are the Democrats doing this, chat? Why would the Democrats be doing this?
People of color, especially in the black community, are being treated unfairly because of how they look, their culture, race, and who they are. What we are seeing is people saying enough is enough.
So what I don't understand is like, if minorities are being mistreated, people are saying enough is enough. Well, who's mistreating them then? Because apparently the people who are mistreating them are also the same type of people that are saying enough is enough. But the obviously, like, this is very vague, right? Like, they don't actually say, well, what exactly are you talking about? Like, what culture? What exactly? Like, which aspects of the culture do you feel that they're being mistreated, right? And they're being treated differently, right? So, like, white people, they're not being criticized for being part of the cisgender, heteronormative, patriarchal structures of systems of oppression. You know, like, is that not criticism? But anyway, the way you can shut down this argument, this is why I even brought it up. Like it's so fucking simple to shut it down. I'm really surprised that, like, no one has thought about doing it, because this is a very old argument. Like, it's so old, they don't. Yeah, it is legit. They don't even bother to rehash it. So the way you shut it down is you ask them a question: which country in the world, like, throughout the entire human population, you pick one country, any that you want, okay, any time period, which country doesn't have racism, so that we can compare it to the United States? This is how you do it in science, because these people love the science, okay? So, like, for example, if you do, like, a scientific experiment, right? Let's say a color change or something, like an experiment that's based on color. We call it the witness. The witness is, like, how it's supposed to look like, you know, like the normal version, the neutral state, and then you have it like the one that you're experimenting, like the control group. Fuck, you need the control group, right? So like, show me the control group for the groups of people that aren't racist, so that we can compare, right? Because if you have, like, the control group, then you can look at America how it is today, and you can instill your, like, social justice activism, you know, like your formula. Like, we need to crack down on jokes. We need to crack down on freedom of expression. We need to crack down on this and that. We need to remove free will, basically, because they have encompassed the definition of racism to be, like, so grand that the only way you could stop being racist is if you remove free will, because they believe that as long as a single person thinks about a racist stereotype, racism still thrives in the heart of America, right? So basically, when you're looking at it, like, okay, so you have, like, the perfect standard, like, this is the country that doesn't have racism. This is America today, right? How does it look like in 10 years? You compare it again with that country, and you compare it with the past, so you can see if the tactics that you've implied, you know, like, if you voted for Democrats in 10 years, did it make racism worse or better? They have no argument to this. Like, they will block you on Twitter if you bring it up. They get really upset if you're asking it for it. Or they don't understand. They literally go, also, like, because other human beings are racist, that does make it okay. And it's like, well, no, but, like, if your definition of racism encompasses every single human being on the planet that is living now, has lived, and will ever live, then maybe you're not having an issue with racism, but you're having an issue with humanity. Like, no, seriously, like, think about it. Like the definition of racism that most people use can be combated, right? Like, racist acts. It's simple, because you can prove if someone did a racist act, right? Like, if someone burned the cross in front of a family of black people because, like, he's racist. Like, you can prove that. It's objective. But when you're like, oh, well, maybe the person was thinking about, like they even have the concept of subconscious racism. So, like, even if you think you're not you still are. Like, subconsciously. It's like the thetans and shit. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, at this point, you're making it, like even, no, actually, at this point, even if you were to remove free will from society, like you were to force people to believe in the same things and behave in the same thing, they would still be racist. Because subconsciously, they may kind of still be, you know, they may have the unconscious bias. Epstein Island had no racism. You know what? Maybe that is true. Like, maybe you should compare America with Epstein Island. And then you can see, it's like, how how different is the United States to the Epstein Island? Because we know the Epstein Island didn't have racismus on it, right? So you have to model the American society to make it closer as possible to the island in order to remove racismus, right? Yeah, it makes it the original sin, but I will tell you the difference between the original sin and this. The original sin, you like you can't wash it away, right? Like in the Bible it says that no matter what you do, you're still going to be sinful. Like only Jesus is without sin. But you have the promise that if you suffer in this life, right? You live a life of piety, and you pray and you do like everything, you know, like you're fasting and you're a good Christian. Eventually, in the afterlife, you're going to get to heaven. So there is a promise of reward, like there is everlasting life. So you suffer now a little bit, but eventually you're promised this thing, right? When it comes to social justice, they actually say that you should not expect any reward for being an anti-racist. Like they will say, like, no, like even if you haven't done anything wrong, although you probably did, your ancestors are guilty, and because your ancestors are guilty, you need to dedicate your entire life to toil on the altar of social justice. So you need to donate your income for reparations, you need to spread the message, you need to amplify marginalized voices. Like in some extremes, it goes all the way to washing the feet of random people, right? Like it's religious in nature. It has like these religious roots. I'm pretty sure you guys see like activists washing the feet of random fucking strangers, right? They don't do it for a Christian reason. They're not like trying to emulate Jesus. They're basically doing it in order to wash away their guilt. And even after you do all of this, right? And you have like humiliation rituals and all this shit, there is no reward. Like it's just a life of suffering. I don't fucking get it. But it is what it is. But yes, I do think like Epstein Island is the one place without racism. I'm actually going to tweet this out. It's such a good take. Hold on, I need to. I can't let this pass. Because people keep saying that America is racist. I thought hard of a place in the world that is not racist so that we can compare and see how much America is progressing or regressing. The place that I found, which had no racism, was Epstein Island. I'm actually going to post this into ChatGPT to see what ChatGPT has to say. It's important to approach discussions about complex social issues like racism with sensitivity and understanding. Yeah. Are you telling me that the Elmo skit we saw earlier was approached with sensitivity and understanding? You see, here is the reason that I am often triggered. Like, when you're presenting with stuff like this, which lacks in sensitivity and understanding, why are you expected to respond in any way besides the same way that this message was given? So for those of you who just joined the chat, listen to this.
Across the country, people of color, especially in the black community, are being treated unfairly because of how they look, their culture, race, and who they are.
So I'm not going to allow Elmo to slander the Democrats anymore because they have been in power for the last 4 years. And I do not think that they did this. I want to defend the Democrats. I want to defend their prestige. But basically, right, so when you see messages like that, like, you're going to respond in kind, I'm sorry. So while it's valuable to compare different places to assess social progress, it's crucial to do so with accurate and respectful information. Regarding your mention of Epstein Island, it's important to clarify that this location is associated with serious criminal activities and is not a suitable or relevant references in point of discussion. Well, hold on, I will ask. But it doesn't have racism, does it? The absence of racism in a specific location such as Epstein Island isn't that meaningful or appropriate. Oh, look at ChatGPT running defense. Holy fucking shit. Holy shit, look at it. It's still writing. Oh my fucking god. Moral and ethical. Oh, fuck off, ChatGPT. You don't get the joke. Yeah, it's just one group of people that's being treated. But, well, I will tell you this, okay? And this is another reality that you can only get probably from a person that has left America. Like, you need to travel a little bit to realize this. It's kind of difficult. You know, like, as an American, you look to places that are horrible and inhospitable to human life. Like California, yeah. Like Detroit, you know, like they're not really good places, right? But then you travel the world and you realize, holy shit, even the most poor people in Detroit, even the most poor people in Baltimore, they still have access to more amenities and more luxuries than people in other parts of the world. Like, they have it better. Unironically, I don't know if it's better than half of the human population, but I'm willing to bet it's kind of somewhere around, if not even higher. Like, being an American, even if you're living in a ghetto on welfare and food stamps, you have access to more amenities that are far superior than people have in other places in the world. And you only realize this when you fucking travel. Like, there are people from other places of the world that would want that. Living paycheck to paycheck, my fucking guy. I really hate that expression. It's so fucking vague, isn't it? Living paycheck to paycheck. Because there are people, I know what the expression means. I get it, right? But you have people that have, like, a mortgage, and they live in a big house, and they have, like, loans for a car, and maybe they earn, I don't know, maybe they earn, like, $10,000 a month on the household. But they're in debt, right? Like, all of it goes to the bank. So they're like, oh, well, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Like, sure, yeah, no, like, unironically, they are. And from their perspective, they may view themselves as if they're poor. Because what happens is, like, if you live in a big house, and all the money that you make goes to the bank, after a while, you feel like the bank takes all your money, and you don't appreciate that you live in that house anymore. Like, you take the stuff for granted. But that is not the same like a person that lives in an African village without access to drinking water. Anyway. Ironically, V, I've tried making the same argument to my fellow Americans and they just won't accept it. Well, you don't know how to make it properly. You need to make the same argument properly. What if the American lives on the street? It's still better. It's still better. Like, okay, where do you want to live? On the streets of California or in a war-torn part of Africa? Or on the streets of China? Like, even if you're on the streets in the US, you still have, and I know that this sounds ridiculous, but I know people that managed to turn their life around. I remember interviewing a guy when I started my YouTube channel in 2016. He was a homeless person. And the reason I interviewed him is because I was really interested about how that lifestyle is like. Like, how do you live on the streets? Like, what do you do? You know, what are the codes? Like how do you speak with other homeless people? What do you... And, you know, it was for his credit, like he said that he avoided alcohol and drugs, and now, apparently, he works for the government and makes more money than me. So I'm not saying that every single homeless person, obviously, or even like the majority of homeless people can turn their life around. But what he did wouldn't have been possible if he was in a place that wasn't America. Right? So yeah, even if you live on the streets, as an American, you have access to more amenities and opportunities and possibilities than in other places. It's like Boogie claiming that he is broke, but he went to buy $100,000 Tesla. Yeah, no, this... but like, you know, the thing is, he probably genuinely, unironically believes that he is broke. Like, he because the thing is, and I understand it to a certain degree, when you make a bank loan to buy something as expensive as a Tesla, you stop enjoying the Tesla. Like, after a while, you think that it's yours, you're acting as if it's paid for, and you just don't understand, like, why am I giving all this money to the bank? Have you seen videos of Kensington Avenue in Philly? I have not. And by the way, you know, like, I don't want people to think that I believe that every single American citizen that lives in a ghetto has it better than the rest of the world. But again, like, if you think about being in Africa, okay, and you're in a village that doesn't have access to clean water, the very fact that you're in America, even if you're on the streets, you do have access to water. Like, homeless people in the United States do have access to clean water. Take into account that homeless people in the United States have access to food. I mean, I don't know, I would have to look it up, but I don't think, like, many people, even in California, which has, like, some of the biggest homeless population in the world, I don't think even that place has cases of humans starving to death. With all the communism that goes there, like, they don't starve to death, right? So when I say that America's, even the poorest ones, have access to more amenities than other people around the world, I know what I'm talking about. You don't fear neighboring warlords descending on your village, stealing your children, and murdering everyone else in very brutal manners. Like, you don't fear that. If you have any common sense and don't have a house, you avoid the cities. That's where people are walking around like zombies. Well, you know, I guess you can take a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. You know, like if people want to drug themselves, like, what are you going to do? In a way, I'm not really blaming them, because if I was homeless, I would probably feel despair, and you'd hit the bottle, or, you know, you try to do whatever you can to make the day pass faster. Like, you probably don't have the same goals and opportunities as if you're not homeless. So I kind of understand that problem, and, you know, especially if the government doesn't crack down on drug contraband and the people that are selling the drugs. But again, like if you're in America, right, and even if you're homeless, you have more opportunities than if you're a person living in Africa in a hut without access to clean water. Like, I'm not going to change my mind on this. I'm sorry. Many places in the United States don't have clean water. No, I doubt it. Like, you can still buy you can still buy bottled water. Like, even if you're a homeless person, like, you buy a bottled water. Despite the fact that many commies I have seen, like, mocking the concept of bottled water. It's like, oh my god, it's like water in a bottle. Why can't you just get it from the tap? Why don't you get it from the tap? Well, sometimes, right, in some places, the tap either doesn't work or it's too dirty. Like, when the tap water comes out brown, you're happy that bottled water is available. Homeless is weird. So long as you're a minority, you get first place for charity. Everyone else can starve, as Uncle Sam cares. I guess it depends from state to state. But yeah, racism in America, definitely under the Democrats, exists. Most of these drugged up zombies in the streets of San Francisco are mentally ill. Happens when you shut down mental asylums. The thing is, and I'll tell you this, mental asylums didn't exist to cure people. When I went to med school, I realized something disappointing. We still haven't figured out how the human brain works. Like we know about it, you know, when it comes to neurosurgery, removing a tumor and stuff like that, and the various areas of the brain and which functions they have access to. Like, we kind of know that. But there is still so much to know about the human brain which we don't. And when you go into the realm of psychiatry, it's almost like a complete mystery. So, as I said on other streams before, like, what psychiatry does in a general sense, you have the patient coming in and it's like, you know, this is the great anxiety crisis, right? The patient is coming in and he's very anxious. And then you give him pills and the patient becomes like, right? So basically, there are exceptions to this, of course. There are certain, like, pathologies that have been documented and they can be treated. But most of the times they're treating symptoms. And to treat symptoms is just you're sedating the patient, right? Now, the reason for mental asylums and why they got closed is due to the fact that they weren't managing to treat most people. What they were doing is like they were treating the symptoms. They were pacifying the patients. The mental asylums were there in order to separate people that were dangerous from the rest of society, right? Because, like, for instance, there was this case recently. I'm pretty sure, like, you guys saw it on the news. This teacher confiscated a switch from a student, and the student hospitalized the teacher in response, right? Like, he started beating her with such cruelty that she ended up in a hospital. Apparently, he's got autism. And immediately you have like activists, it's like, oh my god, he's but a child, oh, how can you put him in prison? And this is where the conversation comes in, right? Like, the reason you put people in prison is because they chose to be criminals. Like, they have the rationale, they have the thought to commit a crime. This is why kids don't go to prison, because kids aren't fully developed yet. Like, their brain isn't fully developed. So it's usually the parents that are held responsible. But what do you do when a person is mentally ill? Like, if the person is mentally ill and he does a crime, you can't really, like putting him in prison doesn't really make sense, because like he's not going to learn anything from that. Like, he doesn't even know that it's a crime that he did. So the solution is to put him in a hospital, right? Like, to give him help, to provide the help that he needs. But in reality, the hospitals were to separate the law-abiding people from the ones that were a danger to society. Because at the end of the day, you know, if someone wants to hit me in the head with a baseball bat, I don't really care if that person is a mugger, or if that person is doing it because they're mentally insane, or the person is, right? From my perspective, if I'm getting hit in the head, or if my wife is getting hit in the head, I don't really fucking care. Why is it being done? I just want it not to happen. So, in order to make it not to happen, you need to separate the people that are doing that from the people that are law-abiding. Did Elmo say the N-word on TV? No, oh my god. See, if Elmo would have said the N-word on TV, then it would actually have ratings. Most of the tap water in the States is contaminated with hydrofluoric acid, is the effluent from smokestacks at fertilizer. I don't fucking know. I did hear that they're doing that. I just get tap water. Sorry, just get bottled water then. Asylums definitely need the combat. Well, okay, speaking of asylums, right? Like, there's this case that I talked about in the previous stream. It happened in the UK with a hacker, age 18, apparently managed to hack into Rockstar using an Amazon Fire Stick, a mobile phone, and a TV remote, right? And the judge said that he now needs to go into a mental hospital, potentially for the rest of his life. Right? Until the doctor says that he is cured. Because he is hacker, man. Do you think that's fair? I don't think that's fair. I genuinely don't. I think that's abhorrent. Why? And I explained it in the previous stream, and I explained it in my video. I will explain it again. When you put someone that you consider a danger to society in a mental asylum, in order for that person to get out, they need a doctor to sign that they are cured. And if they go out and they commit another crime, then it looks bad on the doctor with the signature. So I'm asking you, if you're the doctor, right, you're going to this mental asylum and you have like patients which are considered a danger to themselves or others, how likely are you to free them? Because if you free them, you don't know if they're going to commit a crime or not. I mean, you know, like, there are certain people that have various mental illnesses that they look fine. Because I've been to a mental institute. Like, most people, not all of them, but like there are some that look like perfectly fine. You genuinely like do not even know that you're talking to a person that has problems. And they have like either like moments of rage or they have like some bizarre, how should I say, like understanding of reality that if you contradict them, they start freaking out. Right, so like, for example, they can say that they hear voices, or that they are a historical figure like Napoleon or something. And as long as you're playing into that, as long as you're like admitting that, yeah, no, the voices are there, they're fine. Like they look like a just like an average guy. But the moment you contradict them, the moment, like if you have someone that claims that, I don't know, they're black when they're actually white. I can't say any other examples on YouTube, but you can probably think of a couple, right? You probably know a person that thinks they're something they're not, and like they may be entirely fine, right? Like as long as you're playing into what we call the delusion, no problem. The very moment you contradict them, they become enraged, violent, aggressive. If you're a doctor, right? How likely are you to sign the release warrant for one of these? So what ends up happening is that these individuals remain in the hospital for a very long time. Years, sometimes decades, forgotten, abused. They can't get a lawyer. I mean, even if you do have a lawyer, like the lawyer said, well, it's not a legal reason why you're in the hospital. It's a medical reason. I remember when we used to joke about people. Yeah. I'm a parent. Define moments of rage, please. Well, moments when they become aggressive and there's no reasoning to them. Like they're really upset. And they become physical. They want to hurt you. And there's no talking them down. I mean, the Soviet Union used mental hospitals as punitive psychiatry. You can even look it up on Wikipedia. Like, Wikipedia is usually very sanitized. But the punitive psychiatry article is still there. They used it for quite a bit. So it is concerning. I'm literally describing leftists. Unironically, there was a study which showed that people on the left are more... How should I put it? Well, let's put it like this, actually, alright? How many of you have used the internet back in 2016 when Tumblr was a thing? Do you guys remember that? It was before the pronouns in the bio. Yes, like there was a time on the internet before people would put pronouns in a bio. It existed. So the question is, like, what did they put? They had to put something, like you have to virtue signal. You have to show that you're part of the in-group. And the answer is that they would put their mental illnesses in the bio. Like, I'm not kidding. You know, like now when you go on Twitter and you see someone and they have their name and then they have like the Ukrainian flag and then they have like a trans flag and then they have like he, him and then they have a rainbow flag, right? Like, this is today. In 2016, the people are laughing. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm actually telling you what happened. In 2016, you would have people that would be like having their names and then they would say social justice druid. And then it would be like ADHD, autism, bipolar disorder. They would use mental illnesses like badges. And what's even funnier is that many of them weren't diagnosed. Like, they would self-diagnose. And there was like this famous blog. Oh my god, this was the best. There was this famous blog of a person that claimed they have autism, and they would give advice to parents on how to behave next to their kids with autism, right? And it was like a really big blog. Now, turns out the person didn't have autism. Like someone pointed out that there was no medical history of him being diagnosed. So now this person, this activist, which was making a lot of money on Patreon and was getting a lot of donations. Fuck, I'm really upset that I don't remember his name, because like at the time it was like the laughing stock of the internet. They start going around. It's like, oh, what do doctors know? Because doctors are part of the conspiracy, right? It's beautiful, okay? Like, if you're part of, it's the same left ideology, but if you're a feminist, like, the men are in a conspiracy to oppress you. If you are a black person, then the white people are in a conspiracy to oppress you. If you are a neurodivergent person, then the entire medical establishment is in a conspiracy to oppress. Like, it's literally the same playbook, but applied to different, right? So he was basically saying that he knows better than the doctors. Like, I really love this. Like, this one is just the most hilarious shit, right? Like, You don't want to get diagnosed because like the doctors are in the conspiracy and they won't diagnose you even though they make money from issuing diagnosis. But you're also going to take their definitions because like the concept of autism, like the definition, like because autism is a syndrome, like it's a doctor came up with it, like the medical science discovered it. No, it wasn't that coder guy. No. Like Terry Davis had nothing to do with this. Yeah, the PTSD was another one. I remember, oh my fucking god, like you would go on Twitter and you would see people, oh my god, I'm having PTSD. So many right wingers. Back in World War One, you had people which had the 20-yard stare. Like basically soldiers that stopped functioning as human beings. Like literally they would just sit like this for hours, right? Like they wouldn't react to any stimuli. You would put them in a room and they would just sit there. You could punch them. You could do anything. They don't move, right? Like they're completely in a state of perpetual shock. And they found out, like they really tried to figure out like what is going on, what is affecting the soldiers, and it turned out it was shell shock, right? Because up until that point, you did have battles, like you do have like various wars in Europe, but the constant artillery bombardment from World War One created this condition called shell shock. Later, it was called battle fatigue, right? And then it's called PTSD. But again, like post-traumatic stress disorder, like experiencing something so harrowing as the acts of war, right? Like I can understand why it would scar a person, why it would change someone, why it would make them unable to function like a person who wasn't affected by that. And to take that and to say, well, actually, people can get it from Twitter. Like I would imagine the conversation between a World War One veteran who actually fought in the trenches and some blue-haired feminist from Twitter, and they would be like, well, so like I saw my body blown to bits by the artillery, and as the artillery shells were dropping, the bodies and the corpses from the ground were uprooted and it was showering with the legs of my friends. And the feminist was like, yeah, but like I went on Twitter and I read that someone misgendered. It is difficult to believe that this actually took place, right? Like when you look back in time and you realize that these people actually had these conversations, and unfortunately they were even serious about it. Yeah, it's like I told him that I'm non-binary, and he said that no, you're not, and that gave me PTSD. I would say that even the concept, like they would say, well, you can get PTSD if you have like a bad childhood, like if your drunken dad beat you or something. And I would say, you know what? I don't think so. Like you should use another term for it. I don't think like getting beaten by your dad when you're a kid is the same like going into World War One in the trenches and being under artillery bombardment. Like both are bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't condone either one of them. Like I can understand that they're both awful things that can happen and it can traumatize a person. I completely get it. Still, I would say that World War One is worse. I would say that that is a little bit worse than any other thing that I can think. Like maybe if you're in Afghanistan and you're being tortured, okay, like I would say, okay, like if you're under torture, then yeah, like you can get PTSD from that. Or if you're like under a natural disaster, like a volcano exploded and you see lava and people dying all around you, that maybe yeah, you can get PTSD from that. But other than that, no, like I think that should be reserved for soldiers. But unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, now, like ever since we have like the trust and safety councils on Facebook, literally any wine aunt who uses Twitter can get it. Parental abuse might be worse. Maybe like if the parent is like abusive to a comic book level. You know, where they lock you into the like you have a mother that has, she's a Democrat supporter and she has like a lot of abortions, and she has like the secret room behind the bookcase where she stores all of the aborted fetuses, and whenever you misbehave as a child, she puts you in the room with your brothers. Okay, like maybe that can give someone PTSD. Like I'm willing to take a step back and say, all right, like in some cases of parental abuse, maybe. But overwhelmingly, I would say, like, if I was to choose now, you know, you're going to be born again, right? You're isekai'd. And you get to choose, like, either you go and you serve in World War One, but you're under a very loving family, or you grow up in an abusive household. I would take the abusive household. No fucking way I'm taking World War One. Because, yeah, like the term that people are trying to say is trauma. And I agree, like, trauma can come from being under an abusive family, and it can come from being in war. But the trauma from war, I would say, is considerably worse and more intense, like seeing people dying and being afraid that you can die at any time. It's a lot more intense and difficult than just, oh, well, you had abusive parents. Is the difference between someone visibly going through, say, fear of heights or irrational fear, or someone being afraid of getting a shake? I don't really get it, but okay. I love your mind, V, damn. Well, you should see the video game I'm making. Look, V, you don't know what America it lies. You have no clue. I'm traumatized and have PTSD from Christmas music. I listen to jazz music instead. It still has like that Christmassy vibe. But I'm not saying that Christmas music is bad. It's just that I listen to it every single fucking year. And I've been alive for 37. Like, I'm having enough. Having enough Christmas music. I don't want any more Christmas music. I have read it up to here. So yeah, like changing it a little bit. I would recommend, yeah, I would recommend jazz music during Christmas. And the thing with Christmas music is like having a phone alarm, right? Like you're having your phone alarm with like Attack on Titan or something you really like, and after a while it gets really annoying because you keep hearing it every day. I know I'm old. It is what it is. Anime Christmas music? My fucking god, if that's a thing. Listen to this. This is something that I really enjoyed reading. Study shows, oh my god, experts claim. Harvard professor writes. The science is speaking, chat. The journalists are communing with the science. King's College London. I mean, dude, this is the truth. Sex could be a better predicator for sports performance than gender identity. This is... Wow. How many scientists were working on this? I mean, I don't know. Should we trust it? Sex could be a better predicator of sports performance than gender identity. Oh my god. Well, I hope they put their top minds on this, because this is important research. I mean, our evolution as a species is contingent to this. Dr. John Armstrong King. Dr. Alice Sullivan. Oh my god, look, there were 3 doctors. George M. Perry was the 3rd. And an independent researcher. Holy shit. I mean, look. I mean, they're basically saying it's like the scientific consensus is there. They conducted a study analysis data on the performance of people who competed in the non-binary category of 21 races in the New York Roadrunner. Outside of purely biological outcomes and criminology, little empirical work has been done to test the theory that gender identity is more important than biological sex. The data set of 166 race times achieved by non-binary athletes with the data set of 80,173 race times was selected, and apparently sex is more important than gender. Oh my fucking god. Well, science is bigoted, it appears. You know, maybe we should just remove the science. I don't trust them. These scientists, they have their weird agendas. Trying to pollute the minds of children. Who wrote this? Scientists did. It's groundbreaking, but I don't trust it. I think this is part of the scientific conspiracy. I think the scientists are conspiring in order to try to confuse children. How could science do that? You know, it's kind of like those things when you have mad scientists. Like, just because it's science doesn't necessarily mean you should do it. Like some scientific experiments are better left undone. Study shows breeding is bad. Well, I mean, you do produce carbon, so that is problematic, yes. Anyway, I should go back working on my game. I hope I managed to entertain you guys a little bit. I know I'm not a lot, because I do have some low energy tonight. When the fuck is Christmas, by the way? In Romania, it's in 2 days. Christmas Eve. Holy shit. When the fuck did this year end? Like, it feels that the year just started and now it's this. Is this how it is like to get old? Like the years go faster? Damn. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later. Take care.